I'm joined here today by the one, the only Vitamin D, DeAnna Bennett, to take on Victoria Leonardo at Invicta FC 40. What's going on? How are you?
I'm good. In my car, sitting my butt off right now, but it's okay. You do that,
There
right?
you go. Is that some kind of weight cutting tactic, or is this you waiting to go to practice?
I'm on my way to the gym, and I had to get gas beforehand, and so
Oh,
um, my gym I'm going to is 45 minutes away. So I'm like, if I have to leave now, I have to do this, and so I'm like, all right, we'll just talk to you while I'm in my car. I pretty much, when I'm in Jersey, I live anyway, so it is what it is.
and so what's the reason for living so far from the gym? Is this just how things ended up, or is there like a particular reason?
It just kind of ended up that way. I go to like three different gyms when I'm here in Jersey, and so one of them's closer, and then the other ones are farther away, and so like I go to like four different gyms while I'm out here. Obviously they're not open right now, but when they are, I'm always like that's just the way it works when you're out here.
And so I know fighters, some of them like to stick to one gym. I mean, we're hearing from you, you like to go to multiple gyms. What's kind of the reason? Is it about getting specific training in different places? I mean, what's kind of the reason for that?
Yeah, well, because the way it kind of is out here, there's a lot of affiliate gyms, and so I'll have my main gym that my head coach is at and everything, and then I have a different gym for strength and conditioning. I have a different gym that I go to jiu-jitsu at, and then I have another gym that I go to just for sparring. So it's kind of like everyone comes together at the specific gyms for sparring, but besides that, like you have your own individual gyms that you do the other things at, and it's took a lot of getting used to because I'm from Utah, which is where I first started fighting, and that's where I had one gym and that was it. And then I came out here and I'm like, oh, so I have to travel and live in my car and go to all these. Okay, good to know.
And so we know the big story, of course, for all the fighters. Well, everybody really was, the lockdown. Everybody was kind of locked up. We know fighters, they had to, try to stick to their diet, get their training in correctly. How was lockdown for you? How did you experience that?
Well, it wasn't too bad. My mom lives in Utah, and so once everything started getting crazy, I actually hopped in my car, or not hopped in my car, I hopped on a plane and went out to Utah, and so I could be with her. So I spent a lot of time outdoors, doing basically every body weight training under the sun,
Yeah,
which is so not the same, so not the same.
yeah.
But my old teammates that I used to train out there, like um, girl Sula, a real good friend of mine, and then my friends and I would go run the track outside, and then Court McGee, he's got stuff in his, he's got a room in his house that's like a mat room with his gear and everything, and so I were there and trained with him, and then, we'd train in the mat room, we do workouts in his driveway sometimes, just trying to fit in whatever work I could, just because I knew that I wanted to get back in the cage as soon as possible, and, gyms actually have been opening up there. They've been open for, I think it's a little over a month, and so I was able to go and get work there, and then now I'm back in Jersey where things aren't quite open yet, but I'm still just trying to fit in my workouts, finish up my camp as much as possible, and it was different. Like my
Yeah.
coach used the term Corona camp. Like a Corona camp is different than any other pride I've had, and had I've had over 21, or like, yeah, I think it's 21 pro fights, if you add in the Ultimate Fighter fights.
Yeah.
And yeah, nothing could have, it was interesting to say the least.
And so the big thing we found out though is Invicta, kind of one of the first promotions outside of the UFC to start fights. Obviously, you're one of the first fighters I assume that they called. What was your reaction when they called you? I assume it's got to be a mix of relief, excitement, things like that.
Oh, I've been super excited because I've been asking for a fight since the tournament that I did in September. I wanted to get back in the cage. I was looking at November. I was looking at December. I had some things for I wasn't able to get on anything with Invicta, but I had some things outside of Invicta that I was working on that they fell through, and so I've just been I want to get back in the cage. I'm at a point where I want to fight every 3 months if I can, and so having this long break was kind of killing me. So when they called and they're like, all right, you're on the next show, I'm like, I was super excited, and then I looked down at my big country gut, and I was like, that, but that's okay. Been there before. Just have to keep him under control. Like I've been training, and that's the
Yeah.
important outside, and then that's the important part. And so, um, you just kind of have to roll with the punches and then just do what you can with what you're given. It might not be ideal, but I mean that's the fight game. Stuff happens outside of your control, and you just have to keep doing what you can.
And so obviously it's a long layoff for you, but were there some benefits there? Like, I know a lot of fighters use it to heal up and stuff like that. Did you find benefits, or was it just starting to get annoying after a while?
There always is benefits, because in that last fight of the tournament, my shoulder was completely out of place. Like, I couldn't even lift my arm for a day afterwards. It was horrible, and it was in pain. And so having the layoff kind of gave me some time to heal that. And I mean, it doesn't help that the very last training session that I had before the world shut down, I was sparring at Renzo Gracie's in New York, and I actually slipped a disc in my back. And so I was like excruciating pain. In fact, I missed the last couple of sessions that I was supposed to have at the gym before the gyms closed down because of that. And so I was like, oh, good, I'm off to a great start. Slipped a disc in my back. I can't move, can't go to the gym, can't do anything. And so it's like I got my quarantine 15 like in the first week because I was super active to not being able to do anything. And so, but I mean, I was able to have the time to kind of rehab that and get my back working okay, which was horrible. Pain is never fun because I couldn't even walk. I couldn't even sit down. I couldn't do it. I was just miserable. And then my shoulder was able to heal, and but then it really does.
You're going to be taking on Victora Leonardo. What was your reaction when Invicta came to you and that was the opponent they offered you?
Honestly, I was down to fight anyone, and I've seen her fight before. Her last fight, I trained with Erin Blanchfield, so of course I was watching that fight because I was wanting to cheer on Erin and be grateful for that. And I get to go in there and I get to fight, so that's all. I don't even care who they were going to put in front of me. As long as it's an opponent and they agree to fight me, I was happy.
And so, I mean, with that being said, still, did you feel like this was the right opponent for your return? Like, I'm sure in your mind you sort of had an idea of who you'd like to face next. Was this the right person for you?
I had some other people in mind that I was thinking. Victoria wasn't really one of them that had popped in head. Like, yeah, she's part of the tournament with us, but I seeing that she was coming off a loss from fighting Erin, I wasn't sure about that. But, given everything where we're at, I mean, I'm not mad about it. Like, I'll take the fight. She's a good, strong opponent. She's aggressive, and so, it is what it is.
And so we mentioned her fight against Erin. I mean, what did you make of her performance? I know going in there, everybody was talking about, Erin's the jiu-jitsu fighter and everything. Goes out there, gets the head kick. What did you make of that whole fight?
It was a good fight. It was good for Erin. Like I said, I've trained with her. I know she's more than just a jiu-jitsu fighter. Like I spar with her every single week up at Renzo's. Well, I did before the world ended, basically.
Right.
And I knew she's a tough. She's scrappy. She's young. And I if somebody would have said, hey, do you think she would get the head kick knocked out? I don't think I would have placed my bet on that.
Right.
When you're in a fight, I get it. But it was a good performance by Erin. And, Victoria comes out strong. She comes out tough. And so, it could have been just an off night for her. Something wasn't going her way. Something wasn't right. It happens. Trust me, I know. I've been head kicked knocked. It happens.
That's right. Listen, going back to this fight against Victoria, how do you like the matchup in this one? I assume you must like the matchup. I've never heard a fighter say they don't like it, but what do you kind of think of the matchup in this one?
I think it's good. Like I said, she comes out aggressive. She's tough. She's well-rounded in everything that does. I just know that I know I want it more. That's for sure. I still have so much more that I want to prove in this division and in Invicta and just in fighting in general. And so I think that as long as I come in the fighter that I know I am and that I'm on top of my mental game, then it's gonna be a good night for me.
And so what does a win here do for your career? I assume obviously it puts you in a good position, but what does it kind of do for you, concretely speaking?
A win for me will show that, deserve my way to get back to the top. I mean, Miranda was next in line for having the title shot there in Invicta, and she just got signed up to the UFC, which I'm super glad for. Miranda's great. Love her. I'm super happy for her. I think she's going to have a great career. But now the spot for number one contender is open, and getting that Invicta title is something that I've wanted my entire career, and I'm still working for right now. And I know I'm in the top of the division, and so I think it puts a clear path for me getting there. Maybe not directly after this fight, but, you know, go out there, win this fight, and we have Pearl still in the division too. You know, she's always a top contender. If they need to have a fight, you know, me and her, or me or somebody else to get that number one contender spot, then I'm going to go for it. And I'm going to I'm just going to fight until I can get that title. And I think a win here shows very clearly that first step.
All right, and I just have one more question for you. Hopefully you don't die of heat stroke on us before the end, but how do you see this fight playing out against Leonardo?
I see her coming out aggressive. You know, she's just as hungry to get in there and to fight as me. Obviously, she's fought sooner. She's fought this year. I haven't. And I know she's tough and she's strong and she's big and she wants to go out there and get that win. And I think she's going to bring that aggression. I think all of us have built aggression over the last few months with everything going on. And so I think she's going to bring that into the cage, and I hope she does, because I see myself going and performing the best of my ability, and I see myself getting my hand raised. You know, what happens in the cage, you can't predict, like, oh, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to hit her with the one punch and I'm going to jab her and then everything's going to be great and I'm going to knock her out, or I'm going to get another head kick just like Erin got. You know, you could always throw those things out there. I'm not that kind of person. I just know that, you know, where the fight goes, I'm going to end up with my hand raised in the end.
All right, well, we look forward to it. It's going to be a great fight. Obviously, you know that. Thank you so much for the time. I really appreciate it.